This was where we had to sort of occupy a space over at the LA Center stages, which because we had run out of stage space, which happened constantly, by the way. This was, once again based on research. Chris Brown, the art director, had a lot to do with the graphics that run across the top of the supermarket set, and which are really, establish the flavor and the character of that period. So I think that's really what makes this set more than anything. The displays look great as well, all the cans of product, etc. But it's the graphics running across the top which are really just on the money, and the colors of the floor and stuff like that. We knew we were going to go with this sort of aqua and orange sort of basis, so the walls and the floor, and then the neutral tone in the floor as well. And part of that is just based on the 50s. That's a very straight-up 50s color combination, and it was common in supermarkets as well. So we just went straight for that. Part of this was just the desperation of creating this much of a supermarket, on a tight budget, on a schedule. But and also just getting the product up into the frame, and a lot of it's just technical stuff. But then the red involved there is because the smaller signs and the lettering are smaller, they can sustain a higher chroma level and for punch, and that's just a graphic concern that if you're good at graphics like Chris Brown is, that this stuff needs to be strong enough to read, etc. So yeah, it balanced out all well. So yeah, we were very happy with the look of this. It is an office building that is in South Pasadena, and the style of the architecture is completely of the period. It's a wintertime scene, so part of the reason we chose this location was so it was an environment that the visual effects guys could work with fairly gracefully, and that has to do with replacing the background, because what you see in the background is more of South Pasadena. There's modern stuff, and we wanted to establish more of the New York town that the Draper home is in with this one wide shot. First, we needed a building that was going to be period, and that we wouldn't have to completely alter. We did remove a palm tree or two from this location, but in particular it was, aside from changing some foliage, it was the shape of the hedge on the left here. If you see this line, this hedge then continues off for another 70 feet or something like that, and what that does is, because it's slightly above head height, it creates a hard line, which then the visual effects guys can cut a matte line across there and replace everything along the top of that hedge line, and then the building had very hard edges as well. So they left some stuff in. I think the telephone pole is still in the final shot, but all of the stuff over this hedge became the New York town instead of South Pasadena. And then all of the snow is in fact paper, which was scattered by the paper guys. So we needed an environment that was not too big, not too small, that we could afford to sort of dust with snow. All of that stuff, it comes into consideration. The emergency room that Peggy shows up in the final episode. This actually occupies the same space as the supermarket set of before. And once again, we were using the light. That space has floor-to-ceiling windows, which we were able to incorporate, not into the set because you can't really see them, but it allows a place for the lighting guys to put their lights, so that because the space itself is too small. So this is a New York emergency room, which was essentially assembled in that space as well. Another linoleum floor. It's very restrained, in the hospital colors. This is, for me, it's more about the light cue and just the sculptural shapes and a certain degree of severity, which you typically find in hospitals.